Welcome to your Barbados Today evening news updates for Friday, September 25th. Mounting calls for a review of the 2020 CAPE and CSEC examination results spilled over into peaceful protests today. Students bearing placards gathered outside the headquarters of the Caribbean Examinations Council earlier, demanding the institution heed their calls, which has been echoed by students in several Caribbean countries. Under the watchful eye of officers of the Royal Barbados Police Force, the students from several secondary schools, with support from some parents and teachers, shouted phrases of "Save our children, fix our grades." One of the organizers of the protest told Barbados Today students are hoping that CXC would give them a listening ear and review the disputed grades.
Mostly we just want CXC to listen. This is without doubt a very serious issue and it needs addressing. This can't be allowed to happen. So I think CXC ought to meet with some students, CXC ought to meet with teachers. Students and teachers are both aggrieved by this. They can't continue as business as usual. What has happened this year is completely unprecedented, and the solution therefore must be unprecedented. They need to bring in teachers, they need to bring in students, they need to review the system, and then perhaps they might need to regrade. What has obtained is iniquitous. As a matter of fact, it is an injustice to students and to teachers, many of whom have put in all the hard work over the time, and this is the pay that they have received out of it. It's not good enough. We want CXC to listen to us. We hope that they will come to their senses, and we hope that they will listen to us. Until then, we will continue action. That action can come in all manners and forms, not only in this protesting out here today.
Parent Neil Weeks, who was present at today's protest, was not at all happy with the situation, saying it had the potential to affect the future of all students involved.
From the perspective of a parent, this is not about one or two students who felt that they had gotten results that were unexpected. We are dealing with a wide cross-section of students throughout the Caribbean who have had grades that are way below what they expected. So it isn't to say some child whose parent is angry with them for getting a lower mark and they say, "Oh, mommy, I should need to get my marks regraded." This is an entire school and entire schools all through the Caribbean. In fact, you would have seen our Starbrook paper in Guyana. Their top school has the same issues. And to my mind, the response coming back from CXC to a Minister of Government or Minister of Education, which basically said, "We are not relooking it and we're not waiving the fee to have it redone," speaks volumes to how CXC views themselves and how they view the parents and the children, who, mind you, their future hangs in the balance. Some students have actually been asked to leave the universities that they've gone to because their marks didn't add up to what they said they were going to get. So you're dealing with people's futures. And all we're asking for is the CXC to relook it. That's all we're asking for.
Now, as the students picketed CXC headquarters, the Council's Registrar and Chief Executive Officer, Dr. WESLEY, held a regional press conference on the issue via Zoom, and he is standing behind the Council's preliminary results for the July to August exams that have caused widespread concerns across the region.
In the administration of our examination, there is a rigorous quality assurance mechanism process that is executed. That quality assurance mechanism ensures that there is detailed check of every single subject with a detailed report, and as is customary with the end of our assessment process, that there are queries that will be made. That is why there's a window between preliminary results being released and final results being released. Those issues, or those concerns rather, that are raised, we will treat with and provide the requisite responses.
Dr. Wesley revealed that to date, CXC had only received concerns from 2 territories. However, he did not name them. He said CXC was yet to receive any formal complaints from students. He also maintained that the results of this year's exams were in line with results of previous years.
For the CAPE results, as can be seen from the screen, the performance from 2017 to 2020 showed a gradual improvement in those candidates receiving acceptable grades. And note that this year, the performance is 93.25%, which is much higher, or which is higher than the previous 3 years in terms of the number of individuals receiving acceptable grades. In respect of CSET, the same result obtained, where when you look at 2020, 79.57% of those sitting the exams would have received acceptable grades, an increase over 2019, 2018, and 2017. So overall, the region would have registered an improved performance at 93 and 79% respectively for CAPE and CSET.
To other news this Friday, the Minister of Environment and National Beautification, Adrian Ford, announced changes to the boards of the Sanitation Service Authority and the National Conservation Commission.
The 2 changes that I would review right now is that Rudy Grant, Senator Rudy Grant, will be now heading the NCC board as chairman, and Ramon Ali certainly as the board chair of Sanitation Service Authority. And I say that these 2 august gentlemen bring a wealth of experience. They are knowledgeable, they have the passion, and they are going to work with every connective tissue of their being to ensure that every single Barbadian understands what it means to be clean, and certainly how we can marry that cleanness to the greening of the country.
Barbados' national COVID-19 count climbed to 190 as a 24-year-old female visitor tested positive for the virus. The woman, who arrived on a Virgin Atlantic flight on September 19th, received the positive result following a second test yesterday. She is now in isolation at Harrison Point, St. Lucie. Another patient at the facility has recovered and will be discharged today. 8 people remain in isolation and 175 have recovered.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To news from our regional neighbors now, Jamaica's Ministry of Health says it has spent over $4 billion in its fight against COVID-19. We get more in this report from Television Jamaica.
The Ministry of Health and Wellness is reporting that it has spent $4 billion in the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic. Speaking at a media briefing on Thursday, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry, Dunstan Bryan, said the money was spent between April and September. Mr. Bryan said 40% of the $4 billion was spent in June and July to fulfill commitments made in March and April.
Our commitments to equipment, our commitment to PPEs, our commitment to drugs, our commitment to the build-out of infrastructure. And those commitments came in June and July, and we were able to pay those bills to the tune of $4 billion.
He says that the majority of the funds were spent on drugs and personal protective equipment for health professionals. This, he says, cost approximately $1 billion.
And finally, on the international scene, COVID-19 cases continue to climb in the United States. A Reuters tally has placed the number of people infected over 7 million. More in this report from Reuters TV.
The number of COVID-19 cases in the United States topped 7 million Thursday, as states in the Midwest are seeing a spike in new infections. All Midwest states except Ohio reported more cases in the past 4 weeks as compared with the prior 4. South Dakota had the biggest percentage jump at 166%, with over 8,100 new cases, while North Dakota's new cases doubled to over 8,700. Many cases in those states have been linked to the annual motorcycle rally in Sturgis, South Dakota, that yearly attracts hundreds of thousands of visitors. California leads the country with over 800,000 total cases, followed by Texas, Florida, and New York. U.S. confirmed cases are the highest in the world, followed by India and Brazil. Months into the pandemic, over 700 people die in the United States from COVID-19 every day, with the country averaging 40,000 daily new infections. Top U.S. infectious disease expert Dr. Anthony Fauci has said he would like to see the number fall below 10,000 per day before flu season starts in October.
That's news. But for the very latest, visit us at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.